Okay, in this short screencast, I want to show you how to identify atoms in a piece of DNA. When you're looking at a diagram of a molecule, some of the atoms will be labeled. So your diagram looks slightly different than this, but where you see an O, that will be an oxygen. Where you see an N, that will be a nitrogen. You'll see some P's for phosphorus. You'll see lots of oxygens here, oxygen, 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 and so on. So oxygens are easy to find, phosphorus is easy to find, nitrogen is easy to find. Now there's one thing on here that is not easy to find, and that is carbon. Carbons, you won't see any C's on here, but there are a lot of them hidden. So let me show you where they are. Carbons occur anytime two dark lines intersect or anytime there is an angle. So right here, you see that this is a bend. There's an angle right there. So this is a carbon atom hiding at that angle. This is an angle too. This line goes down here and bends up there, or you could call it an intersection. That intersection is a carbon. So here's a carbon, here's a carbon, here's a carbon, two lines intersecting. Here's a carbon, two lines intersecting. Here's a carbon again. So there's going to be a lot of carbons. In this molecule, there's a carbon here and a carbon here. Nitrogen, because it says nitrogen, no indication, so this is a carbon here. Nitrogen, of course, and this is another carbon here. Over on this molecule, nitrogen, carbon, nitrogen, carbon, nitrogen, carbon, carbon, nitrogen, carbon, nitrogen, carbon, nitrogen, carbon, 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 carbon. Down here I've got carbon, 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 etc., etc. So going through this molecule, what I want you to do is to count the number of phosphorus atoms in your image that I gave you, the number of nitrogen atoms in the image that I gave you, and lastly, the number of carbon atoms in the molecule image that I gave you. So just make a little table and total it up. Okay? One way to keep track of them is to print the image and then color them. So color the phosphorus all one color, color the nitrogens all one color, color the carbons a different color. Okay? And that's going to enable you to count the number of those three kinds of atoms in that molecule.